So let's do a comparison between the $28 Crock Pot 2-quart slow cooker and the $10 Mainstays 2-quart slow cooker. What comes with each one? Well, the Crock Pot only comes with a little leaflet about safety precautions, but you can get on the website and you don't have to print it out, but you can just look at it. They have a really nice manual there with a lot of tips and recipes. Now, your Mainstays does come with a little booklet that has recipes. So, let me get rid of the boxes and we're going to do measurements, and then we're actually going to put something in here and cook it, and I'll be testing the temperature throughout the process with this. So first, let's weigh the whole setup of each one. The Mainstays weighs in at 2,046 grams. And the Crock Pot weighs in at 1,878 grams. Okay, now let's do just the lid. This lid is 250 grams, and this was the Mainstays. And the Crock Pot lid weighs 238. Okay, now let's try the pot. The Mainstays pot is 1,094, and the Crock Pot is 1,116, so that's a little heavier. Then let's weigh the heating element with the cord. Alright, the Mainstays is at 692, and the Crock Pot is 570. And you can see, you know, the inside, the Crock Pot is like a shiny aluminum, whereas this is like a brushed aluminum, I guess you would call it. Okay, so now let's look at the dimensions of the pot. They look pretty similar. So what I decided to do was just go by capacity. Both booklets say don't fill it more than 3/4 of the way full. So I measured, I did this right. I put something across the rim, the inner rim, and I measured. The Crock Pot was about 4 3/8, whereas this one was right at 4. So it was a little bit shallower. So now let's check the capacity of the pots. And I tried several different ways to do this, but what I came up with, I put tape. I marked 3 inches from the top because you're only supposed to fill it up 3/4 of the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the pot on the scale and tear it out. So it's at 0 now. I'm going to pour water in here until I reach the bottom of the tape, and we'll see which one holds the most water. All right, here we go. And that's almost perfectly at the bottom. So this one held 984 grams. Now let's try the Crock Pot. The pot there. Let me hit tear. Okay, we're at 0. So let's see how much it holds to get to the bottom of the tape. Oh, I still have, gosh, I still got almost 1/4 of an inch. So let's keep pouring. Okay, so this one held 1,000 1,072 grams. So a few more grams if that's important. All right, and I think that does it for all the dimensions. So now I'm gonna clear this off. I'm gonna mix up a batch of beef stew, and we're gonna put that in the pot and check the temperatures throughout a 12-hour cycle, okay? Okay, so this is what is going into each crock pot, hopefully. Each batch contains 12 ounces of stew meat that's been chopped up. Then I made one batch of sauce stuff and split it. And the one batch contained 1 can of cream of mushroom soup, 1 package of onion mushroom soup, 2 tablespoons of beef broth seasoning, 1 cup of onions, and then each batch contains 10 little baby carrots and 5 of the small potatoes cut up, and then I added a half a cup of water to each batch. And when you layer this, it's best to put your vegetables on the bottom and your meat on top, so when I dump this out it's going to invert it and go that way. So I'm going to put this in each crock pot and turn it on high, and then I'm going to measure the temperature after 4 hours. I'm going to turn it down to low, and then I'm going to measure that temperature after 4 more hours. Then I'm going to put it on warm and check that temperature after probably a couple of hours. So we'll see how this all works out. Okay, so we've been on now for a few hours, 3 hours to be exact, and I'm going to go ahead and shoot the temperatures. The one in the Mainstays crock pot is really rolling. This one is bubbling, so we'll see. All right, the temperature inside the Mainstays is it was 187, okay, 187, and temperature of the outside is 170, okay. All right, let's hit the temperature of the crock pot. That is 180. Temperature of the outside, 159, 160-ish. Okay, now I'm going to turn them both down to low, and we're just going to let them cook for about 6 hours. Okay, so let's check the temperature now after being on warm for a couple of hours. In the crock pot, we have 153. In the Mainstays, we have 149, 150. So let's take some out and see how it went. Okay, so let's see how we did. The Mainstays pot, the meat was tender, the potatoes are just right, the carrots are tender, and the same with the crock pot. Everything was nice and tender and cooked really well. I am going to spend some time now tweaking on my big recipes to fit into the small pots. So if you're interested in watching some of those develop, be sure and hit that subscribe button. I'd always been afraid of leaving the crock pot on all day when I was at work, and then I ran across some posts on the internet like these. And when I saw that even firemen use these in the firehouse, because that way when they leave it's not a hazard, I thought, well, it is time to set those fears aside and start using the crock pot. Also, since it's just my husband and I now, I'm trying to cut them down so that I don't have a huge amount of anything. So this might be the beginning to a very interesting little journey. So, like I said, hit that subscribe button and let's see what we can cook up to go in the 2-quart crock pots. See you next time. Bye.